Pregnant wife divorced for her best friend. Husband chose betrayal over his unborn child. What he didn't know? She'd inherit her secret trillionaire father's fortune the next day. What happened next will shatter everything you think you know about karma, justice, and the price of betrayal. Viewers, imagine carrying your husband's child while he plans a future with your best friend. What would you do? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But before we dive deeper into this jaw-dropping story, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, pause for just 2 seconds and click it. Why? Because stories like this, real, raw, and unfiltered, don't show up in your feed unless you're subscribed. And while you're at it, smash that like button. It actually helps more people discover these true-to-life stories. Oh, and here's something fun. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Georgia? New York? Manchester? Netherlands? Lagos? I want to know where my amazing viewers are tuning in from. It takes 5 seconds, and it means the world. Now, let's get into this story. The law offices of Mitchell & Horn sat on the 42nd floor of the Pinnacle Tower in downtown Atlanta, glass walls offering a sweeping view of the city's skyline. Inside Conference Room C, the air conditioning hummed softly, doing little to cool the tension that pressed against every surface like humidity before a storm. Zara Holloway sat across from her husband, her hands folded neatly over the small swell of her belly. She wore a simple cream blouse and dark slacks, her natural curls pulled back into a low bun. No makeup, no jewelry except for the thin gold wedding band she'd worn for 3 years. She looked tired, the kind of tired that sleep couldn't fix. Across the table, Devon Holloway sat beside his attorney, a sharp-eyed woman in a charcoal suit, who shuffled papers with the efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. Devon wore a tailored gray suit, his tie loosened just enough to suggest he'd had a long day. He hadn't looked at Zara once since they'd sat down. Zara's lawyer, an older man named Mr. Garrett with kind eyes and a patient demeanor, leaned forward. "Let's go through this again," he said gently. "Mr. Holloway, you're requesting full dissolution of the marriage with no spousal support, no shared assets, and you're contesting paternity of the unborn child." Devon's lawyer nodded crisply. "That's correct. My client has reason to believe the child is not his." Zara's breath caught, but she didn't speak. She'd heard this before. In their bedroom 2 weeks ago when he'd packed his bags. In the parking lot of the grocery store when she'd tried to talk to him. Over the phone when he'd stopped answering her calls altogether. Mr. Garrett's jaw tightened. "Mrs. Holloway has offered to take a paternity test. Multiple times. My client declines," the lawyer said smoothly. "He believes the marriage is beyond repair, and he wishes to move forward with his life." With Simone Parker, Mr. Garrett added, his tone flat. Devon's lawyer didn't flinch. "My client's personal relationships are not relevant to this proceeding." Zara finally spoke, her voice low and steady despite the tremor beneath it. "She was my best friend." Devon looked up then, his eyes meeting hers for the first time in 20 minutes. There was something cold in his gaze, something that hadn't been there when they'd married in a small chapel in Savannah, when he'd promised her forever beneath a canopy of wisteria and fairy lights. "People change, Zara," he said quietly. "People change? Or you did?" she asked. He looked away. Mr. Garrett cleared his throat. "Mrs. Holloway is currently 4 months pregnant. She's unemployed, as she left her position at your request to focus on starting a family. She has no income, no savings of her own, and no family support. You're asking her to walk away with nothing." "She'll figure it out," Devon said, his voice clipped. "She always does." Zara felt something crack inside her chest, a fracture so deep it reached her bones. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. Instead, she sat perfectly still, breathing through her nose the way her therapist had taught her. Devon's lawyer slid a document across the table. "We're prepared to offer a one-time settlement of $15,000. In exchange, Mrs. Holloway agrees to waive all future claims, relinquishes any rights to marital assets, and agrees not to pursue child support. $15,000 for 3 years of marriage. For carrying his child. For leaving her career. For believing him when he said they'd build something beautiful together. Mr. Garrett didn't touch the paper. This is unconscionable. It's generous, the lawyer countered. Considering the circumstances. What circumstances? Zara's voice sharpened. That I loved him? That I trusted him? That I'm carrying his baby? Devon's face remained impassive. Sign the papers, Zara. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. She stared at him, this man she'd met at a charity gala 5 years ago, who'd wooed her with poetry and promises, who'd held her hand through her mother's funeral, who'd whispered dreams into her ear on lazy Sunday mornings. When did you stop loving me? She asked. He hesitated, and for a moment, she thought she saw something flicker in his eyes. Regret. Maybe. Or guilt. But then it was gone, replaced by the same cold resolve. I don't know, he said. Maybe I never did. The words hung in the air, sharp and final. Mr. Garrett placed a hand on Zara's arm. You don't have to sign anything today. We can fight this. We can... No, Zara said softly. She reached for the pen. I'm done fighting. Zara! I'm done, she repeated, her voice breaking. She signed her name at the bottom of the page, the ink bleeding slightly where her hand trembled. When she set the pen down, she felt lighter and heavier all at once. Devon stood immediately, buttoning his jacket. I'll have the settlement transferred by Friday. Zara didn't look up. She kept her eyes on the table, on the fake wood grain, on the small water stain near the edge. One more thing, Devon's lawyer said, sliding another paper forward. A non-disclosure agreement. Mrs. Holloway agrees not to speak publicly about the marriage or the divorce. Mr. Garrett's face darkened. You can't be serious. Standard procedure, the lawyer said. Zara laughed then, a hollow, bitter sound. You're afraid I'll tell people the truth? That you left your pregnant wife for her best friend? Devon's jaw tightened. Sign it, Zara. She picked up the pen again and signed. Not because she agreed, not because she was afraid, but because she was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of hoping. Tired of being the only one who still believed in them. When it was done, Devon's lawyer gathered the papers and stood. We'll be in touch regarding the finalization. Devon walked toward the door, then paused, his hand on the frame. He didn't turn around. I hope you find what you're looking for, Zara. She didn't respond. The door clicked shut behind him. Mr. Garrett let out a long breath. I'm so sorry, Zara. This isn't right. We could have. It's done, she said quietly. She stood, smoothing her blouse over her belly. Thank you for your help, Mr. Garrett. Where will you go? She hadn't thought that far ahead. The apartment was Devon's. The car was in his name. Her bank account had $37.63. She'd checked that morning. I'll figure it out, she said, echoing Devon's words with a sad smile. Mr. Garrett handed her his card. If you need anything, call me. I mean it. She nodded, slipping the card into her purse. Then she walked out of the conference room, past the receptionist with the sympathetic eyes, past the glass walls overlooking the city she'd once loved, and into the elevator that carried her down 42 floors to street level. Outside, the late afternoon sun blazed overhead, the humidity wrapping around her like a wet blanket. She stood on the sidewalk, watching people rush past, everyone moving with purpose, with direction, with somewhere to be. She pulled out her phone. 3 missed calls, all from the same number. Simone. Zara deleted them without listening. She opened her banking app. $37. She had $37, a baby on the way, and nowhere to go. For a moment, she considered calling someone. But who? Her mother was gone. Her father she'd never known. Her friends, Most of them had been Devon's friends first. They'd already chosen sides. She was alone. Zara walked 3 blocks to a small diner with cracked vinyl booths and a waitress who didn't ask questions. She ordered a glass of water and sat by the window, watching the city move without her. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Miss Holloway, this is Gerald Pitts from Whitmore and Associates. I represent your late father's estate. It's urgent that we speak. Please call me at your earliest convenience. Zara stared at the message, her heart skipping. Late father? She didn't have a father. Her mother had raised her alone, never speaking about the man who'd left before Zara was born. She almost deleted it. Probably a scam. But something made her pause. She dialed the number. A man answered on the second ring. Miss Holloway? Yes, she said cautiously. Who is this? My name is Gerald Pitts. I'm an estate attorney. I've been trying to reach you for several weeks. I think you have the wrong person. Is your full name Zara Elise Holloway, formerly Zara Elise Whitmore? She froze. Whitmore. Her mother's maiden name. The name on her birth certificate before she'd changed it to her mother's married name after her stepfather adopted her at age 12. Yes, she whispered. Then I have the right person. Miss Holloway, your biological father, Jonathan Whitmore, passed away 6 months ago. He left specific instructions regarding his estate. I need you to come to my office tomorrow morning. There are matters we must discuss in person. Zara's hands shook. I don't understand. I never knew him. I understand this is shocking, Mr. Pitts said gently. But it's important. Can you come tomorrow? Say 10 a.m.? She had nothing else to do. Nowhere else to be. Yes, she said. I'll be there. Excellent. I'll send you the address. And Miss Holloway? Yes? Bring identification. We'll need to verify everything before we proceed. The call ended. Zara sat in the diner booth, staring at her phone as the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the world in shades of amber and gold. Tomorrow she'd learn about a father she'd never known. Tonight, she needed to figure out where she'd sleep. She picked up her water glass, took a long sip, and tried not to think about how everything she'd built had crumbled in a single afternoon. Across town, in a luxury penthouse overlooking Piedmont Park, Devon Holloway poured 2 glasses of champagne. Simone Parker emerged from the bedroom wearing one of his shirts, her dark skin glowing in the soft light. Her smile bright and easy. Is it done? She asked. He handed her a glass. It's done. She clinked her glass against his. To new beginnings. To new beginnings, he repeated. They drank, and neither of them thought about the woman who'd signed away her life that afternoon. Neither of them knew that by tomorrow, everything would change. Zara stood outside the Whitmore and Associates building the next morning, her hands gripping the straps of her worn purse. The building was old money elegant, red brick and brass fixtures, the kind of place that whispered wealth rather than shouting it. She'd slept in her car last night, parked in a well-lit grocery store lot. Her seat reclined as far as it would go. She'd woken with a crick in her neck and morning sickness that left her dizzy. But she was here. Zara pushed through the heavy glass doors into a lobby that smelled faintly of leather and old books. The receptionist, a woman with silver hair and elegant glasses, smiled warmly. You must be Ms. Holloway. Mr. Pitts is expecting you. 4th floor, suite 402. The elevator was the old-fashioned kind with brass gates and a smooth mechanical hum. Zara watched the numbers climb, her reflection fractured in the polished metal. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, her blouse wrinkled from sleeping in it. Suite 402 had frosted glass doors with gold lettering. She knocked once. Come in, a voice called. Gerald Pitts was not what she expected. He was younger than he'd sounded on the phone, maybe mid-40s, with warm brown skin, kind eyes, and an easy smile that put her slightly at ease. He stood from behind a massive mahogany desk and extended his hand. Ms. Holloway, thank you for coming. She shook his hand. I'm still not sure why I'm here. Please, sit. He gestured to a chair across from his desk. Can I get you anything? Water? Coffee? Water would be nice. He poured her a glass from a crystal pitcher, and she drank gratefully. He settled back into his chair, folding his hands on the desk. I'm going to be direct with you, because I think you deserve that. Your biological father, Jonathan Whitmore, was a very wealthy man. He built his fortune in technology and real estate over the course of 40 years. When he died 6 months ago, he left behind an estate valued at approximately $8.3 billion. Zara choked on her water. I'm sorry, what? 8.3 billion, Mr. Pitts repeated calmly. He had no other children, no living relatives except you. And he left everything to you. The room tilted. Zara gripped the armrests of her chair, her knuckles white. That's not possible. I never even met him. I know. Mr. Pitts opened a folder and slid a photograph across the desk. It showed a distinguished-looking black man with gray at his temples, wearing a tailored suit, standing in front of a sprawling estate. This is your father. Zara stared at the photograph. She'd never seen this man in her life. But when she looked at his eyes, something familiar stared back. The same brown. The same shape. Why didn't he ever contact me? Her voice cracked. Mr. Pitts sighed heavily. Your father made mistakes. Serious ones. He was young when you were conceived, early 20s, involved in a brief relationship with your mother. When she told him she was pregnant, he panicked. He was building his first company, working 100-hour weeks, drowning in debt. He convinced himself he couldn't be a father. So he left. Tears burned behind Zara's eyes. He abandoned us. Yes, Mr. Pitts said simply. He did. And he regretted it every day for the rest of his life. He pulled out another document, handwritten on expensive stationery. This is a letter he wrote to you. He asked that I give it to you when the time came. Zara took the letter with trembling hands. The paper was heavy, cream-colored, and covered in neat, precise handwriting. My dearest Zara, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and you're learning about me for the first time. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I was a coward who ran from the greatest responsibility a man can have. I've watched you from a distance your entire life. I know that sounds disturbing, perhaps even cruel. But I needed to see that you were okay. I saw you graduate high school with honors. I saw you get accepted to college. I saw you get married, though I wished I could have walked you down the aisle. I wanted to reach out 1,000 times. But how do you introduce yourself to a daughter after decades of silence? How do you apologize for missing everything? So instead, I built something for you. Everything I have, everything I've created, it's yours. Not as repayment, nothing could repay what I took from you, but as a foundation. Build the life you deserve, Zara. Be better than I was. I'm sorry I was never the father you needed. But I hope, in some small way, this helps. With love I never had the courage to show. Jonathan. Zara read it twice, tears streaming down her face. She folded it carefully and looked up at Mr. Pitts. Why now? Why not when I was struggling in college? Why not when my mother died and I had to pay for her funeral with credit cards I couldn't afford? He was dying, Mr. Pitts said, gently. Pancreatic cancer. He found out 2 years ago. He spent that time getting his affairs in order, making sure everything would transfer to you smoothly. He wanted to do it while he was alive, but his doctors told him he had months, not years. He ran out of time. Zara wiped her eyes. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Mr. Pitts pulled out another stack of documents. What I need from you now is verification. Birth certificate, identification, anything that proves you're Zara Whitmore's daughter. Once we have that, we can begin the transfer process. She dug through her purse, pulling out her driver's license and an old copy of her birth certificate she'd needed for the marriage license 3 years ago. Mr. Pitts examined them carefully, comparing them against documents in his file. "Perfect," he said finally. "This will take a few days to process through the courts. But the estate is ironclad. No one can contest it. By the end of the week, you'll have access to your accounts." Zara's head spun. "I don't even know where to start." Mr. Pitts smiled. "Start with the immediate. Do you have a place to stay?" She hesitated, then shook her head. "Not really." He scribbled something on a piece of paper and handed it to her. "This is the address to one of your properties. A penthouse in Buckhead. It's fully furnished, fully staffed. Go there today. Introduce yourself to the property manager, Margaret Chen. She'll get you settled." "My property? You own 17 properties worldwide, Miss Holloway. This seemed like the most practical option for now." She laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. "Yesterday I had $37. Today I own 17 properties. The world moves quickly," Mr. Pitts said kindly. "I've also arranged for a financial advisor to meet with you later this week. Benjamin Cross. He managed your father's portfolio for 20 years. He'll help you understand everything." Zara stood on shaky legs. "Thank you, Mr. Pitts. I don't know how to process any of this, but thank you. One more thing." He opened a drawer and pulled out a sleek black credit card, the kind with no numbers on the front, just her name embossed in silver. "This is connected to your primary account. No limit. Use it however you need." She took the card, feeling its weight. Her name, Zara E. Holloway. In silver. Everything had changed. That afternoon, Zara stood in front of a glass tower in Buckhead, craning her neck to see the top. According to the address Mr. Pitts gave her, she owned the entire penthouse floor, 43rd and 44th levels. Margaret Chen met her in the lobby, a petite woman with sharp eyes and a warm smile. "Miss Holloway, welcome home. I've been expecting you." Home. The word sounded foreign. They rode the private elevator in silence, Margaret explaining the building's amenities, the security features, the staff. Zara barely heard her. She was still processing. When the elevator doors opened directly into the penthouse, Zara stepped out into a space that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Modern furniture in soft grays and whites. Original art on the walls. A kitchen that gleamed with marble and stainless steel. "There are 4 bedrooms," Margaret explained, walking her through. "The master suite has a private terrace. The guest rooms are on the lower level. We have a housekeeper who comes 3 times a week, but I can arrange for daily if you prefer." Zara walked to the window, pressing her palm against the glass. From here, she could see the entire city spread out below her. Somewhere down there, Devon was living his life with Simone. Somewhere down there was the diner where she'd sat yesterday, counting her last dollars. "Miss Holloway?" Margaret's voice was gentle. "Are you all right?" Zara turned, tears streaming down her face. "I slept in my car last night." Margaret's expression softened. "You'll never have to do that again." That evening, Zara soaked in a bathtub the size of her old bedroom, her baby bump visible above the water. She placed both hands on her stomach, feeling the flutter of movement. "It's just you and me, baby," she whispered. "But we're going to be okay now. Better than okay." Her phone buzzed. Another text from Simone. She'd been sending them all day. "Zara, please answer. We need to talk. I never meant to hurt you." Zara deleted it without responding. Some betrayals didn't deserve words. Another text came through. This one from Devon. "Confirm you received the settlement transfer. We need closure on this." She checked her old bank account out of curiosity. The $15,000 had been deposited. She stared at the number, then opened her new account, the one Mr. Pitts had set up. The balance read, $247 million. That was just her primary checking account. For immediate expenses, Mr. Pitts had said. She took a screenshot and saved it. Not to send. Not to show anyone. Just to remind herself it was real. She texted Devon back. Received. Don't contact me again. Then she blocked his number. She blocked Simone's too. Then she set her phone down and let herself cry, not from sadness but from relief, from exhaustion, from the overwhelming realization that her life had split into a before and after, and she was standing at the fault line. 2 days later, Benjamin Cross arrived at her penthouse wearing a navy suit and carrying a leather briefcase. He was an older black man with salt and pepper hair, probably in his 60s, with the kind of calm confidence that came from decades of managing unimaginable wealth. "Miss Holloway," he said, shaking her hand firmly. "I'm Ben. I worked with your father for 20 years. He was a brilliant man, and I'm honored to help you navigate this transition." They sat at her dining table, and Ben opened his briefcase, pulling out folders and documents. "Let's start with the basics," he said. "Your total net worth is currently $8.3 billion, spread across various assets, stocks, real estate, private equity, bonds, trusts. Your father was extremely diversified, which means you're insulated from market volatility." Zara's head spun. "I don't know anything about managing money." "That's why I'm here," Ben said kindly. "I'll teach you everything you need to know. But for now, understand this. You have people working for you. Accountants, lawyers, property managers, investment advisors. Your job isn't to do everything. Your job is to make informed decisions with good counsel." He walked her through her portfolio, explaining each component in terms she could understand. By the time he finished 2 hours later, Zara felt slightly less terrified. "One more thing," Ben said, pulling out a final document. "Your father established several charitable foundations. Education, healthcare, housing. They're fully funded and operational. You're now the chairwoman of each. No pressure to be involved immediately. But when you're ready, there's good work waiting for you." Zara thought of her mother, who'd worked 3 jobs to keep them afloat, who'd died exhausted at 53, her body worn out from years of struggle. "I'd like to expand the housing foundation," Zara said quietly. "I want to help single mothers. Women like my mom who are doing everything right, but still can't get ahead." Ben smiled. "Your father would have loved that." After he left, Zara stood on her terrace, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and orange. Her phone buzzed with a notification, a Google alert she'd set up for Devon's name. An article popped up. Devon Holloway announces engagement to Simone Parker, founder of Parker Consulting. There was a photo. Devon and Simone on a beach somewhere, her hand extended to show off a massive diamond ring. They looked happy. Radiant. Zara stared at the photo for a long moment, waiting for the pain. It didn't come. Instead, she felt something else. Freedom. She deleted the alert and put her phone away. The next morning, Zara had an appointment with her obgyn. Dr. Rivera smiled when she walked in, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "How are we feeling, Mama?" "Better," Zara said honestly. The ultrasound showed a healthy baby, heart beating strong. "Everything looks perfect," Dr. Rivera said. "Do you want to know the gender?" Zara hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." "It's a girl." Tears filled Zara's eyes. A daughter. She was having a daughter. That evening, Zara sat in her penthouse, one hand on her belly, thinking about her daughter's future. She thought about the life this child would have. Opportunities her mother could never have dreamed of. Security that came from more than just money. Her phone buzzed. An email from Mr. Garrett, her divorce attorney. Subject: Urgent Devon Holloway contact attempt. Miss Holloway. Mr. Holloway's attorney contacted me today requesting to reopen negotiations regarding the divorce settlement. They're claiming there may have been assets not properly disclosed and are requesting a meeting. I advised them the settlement was final and signed, but wanted to make you aware. Please advise how you'd like to proceed. Regards, Martin Garrett. Zara read the email twice. They'd heard something. Somehow, word was getting out. She typed a response. Mr. Garrett, the settlement stands as agreed. I have nothing further to discuss with Mr. Holloway or his representatives. Please communicate that any further contact attempts will be considered harassment. Thank you. Zara Holloway. She sent it and immediately forwarded the email to Ben Cross with a note. Is this something I should be concerned about? His response came within minutes. Not at all. The settlement was finalized before your inheritance. He has no legal claim to anything. If he persists, we have an army of attorneys who'd be delighted to remind him of that. The thought made Zara smile. 3 weeks passed. Zara spent them learning her new life. She met with foundation directors, reviewed investment portfolios, and slowly began to understand the scope of what her father had built. She hired a personal assistant, a sharp young woman named Jasmine who kept her organized. She bought maternity clothes that actually fit. She ate meals that didn't come from a drive-thru. She started to breathe again. One afternoon, Jasmine knocked on her home office door. Miss Holloway, there's a woman named Simone Parker in the lobby. She's asking to see you. Zara's stomach tightened. Tell security I'm not available. I did. She's refusing to leave. She says it's urgent. Zara closed her laptop. Fine, send her up. But stay close. 5 minutes later, Simone stepped out of the elevator, and Zara felt the old hurt flare up. Simone looked exactly as she always did. Beautiful, confident, wearing expensive clothes that hugged her curves. But there was something different now. Her eyes looked tired, worried. Zara, she breathed. Thank God. I've been trying to reach you for weeks. I blocked you, Zara said flatly, not standing from her chair. What are you doing here? I needed to see you. To explain. There's nothing to explain. You slept with my husband while I was pregnant with his child. You're engaged to him now. Congratulations. Simone flinched. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Simone? Please, enlighten me. Simone moved closer, her voice dropping. Devin told me you two were separated. He said the marriage was over, that you'd both moved on emotionally. I didn't know you were still trying until you saw me sign divorce papers 4 months pregnant? Zara's voice was ice. I'm sorry, Simone whispered. I know that doesn't mean anything now, but I am. I was selfish. I told myself what I wanted to hear. Why are you here? Zara asked. Because I don't think you drove across town just to apologize. Simone's jaw tightened. I heard things. About you. About money. Devin's been acting strange, asking questions about your father, about inheritances. Zara's blood ran cold. What kind of questions? He hired a private investigator. I saw the invoice. He's looking into your family history, your father's estate. Zara, he thinks you inherited something. He's talking about challenging the divorce settlement, claiming there was fraud because you didn't disclose assets. I didn't have any assets when we signed, Zara said carefully. I know. But he's desperate. The engagement, the whole thing, it's falling apart. His business is failing. He needs money, and he thinks you have it now. Zara stood slowly, walking to the window. Below, the city pulsed with life, millions of people living their stories, unaware that hers had become something unrecognizable. Why are you telling me this? She asked without turning around. Because I owe you that much, and because... Simone's voice cracked. Because I'm starting to realize the man I fell in love with isn't who I thought he was. Zara turned to face her. That's not my problem, Simone. You made your choice. Now live with it. Zara. Get out. Zara's voice was quiet, but firm. Don't come back. Don't call. Don't text. Whatever happens between you and Devin is your business. I'm done being part of your story. Simone's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. She walked to the elevator, pressed the button, and disappeared behind the closing doors. Zara immediately called Ben Cross. We have a problem. That evening, Zara sat in an emergency meeting with Ben Cross and two attorneys from one of Atlanta's most prestigious law firms. They convened in her penthouse dining room, documents spread across the table. He has no case, said Victoria Wu, the lead attorney, a formidable woman with sharp features and sharper instincts. The divorce was finalized before the inheritance. Georgia law is clear on this. Pre-inheritance assets are not marital property. He'll argue she knew about it, the second attorney, Marcus Reed, pointed out. That she concealed the impending inheritance. She didn't know, Ben said firmly. I can testify to that. Mr. Pitts can testify to that. No one knew Jonathan Whitmore had a daughter until after his death. Victoria tapped her pen against her notepad. Even if he files, it'll be dismissed. But Miss Holloway, I need to ask, how much attention do you want this to attract? A lawsuit would be public record. Your name, your father's estate, it would all become tabloid fodder. Zara thought about her daughter, about the quiet life she wanted to build. I don't want that. Then we handle this preemptively, Victoria said. We send his attorney a letter outlining exactly why any legal challenge would fail, and we make it clear that if he proceeds, we'll pursue sanctions for frivolous litigation. Most attorneys back down when faced with superior firepower. Do it, Zara said. The letter was delivered the next day. By that afternoon, Zara received a call from Mr. Garrett. Devon's attorney called me. They're withdrawing any intention to challenge the settlement. Apparently your legal team made quite an impression. Zara smiled. Good. There's one more thing, Mr. Garrett said carefully. Mr. Holloway sent a personal message. He wants to talk to you directly. Absolutely not. He says it's about the baby. Zara's hand instinctively went to her belly. What about the baby? He didn't say. But Zara, legally, he does have certain rights as the potential father. If he decides to pursue paternity, I'll deal with that if it happens, Zara interrupted. But I'm not meeting with him. She hung up and immediately called Dr. Rivera's office to schedule an early paternity test. If Devon wanted to claim the baby, she'd have proof one way or another. The test confirmed what she'd always known. The baby was Devon's. She filed the results with her attorney and waited. Devon's response came in the form of a formal petition for partial custody. Victoria Wu reviewed it with cold efficiency. He's asking for visitation rights after the baby is born. Standard custody agreement, every other weekend, alternating holidays. Zara felt sick. He didn't want this baby. He called me a liar. He walked away. I know. And we'll fight it. But Zara, he is the biological father. Unless he's proven unfit, Georgia law favors parental rights. What do I do? Victoria leaned forward. We document everything. Every text message, every conversation where he denied paternity, every choice he made to walk away. We build a case that he abandoned his parental responsibilities and only returned when he learned about your financial situation. It won't eliminate his rights, but it'll limit them significantly. Over the next 2 months, Zara's life became a strange mixture of preparation and litigation. She decorated a nursery in soft yellows and whites. She attended parenting classes. She read books about single motherhood. And she fought Devon's custody petition with a team of lawyers who treated it like war. The custody hearing was scheduled for late November, 2 weeks before her due date. The courtroom was smaller than Zara expected, wood-paneled and formal, with fluorescent lights that made everyone look slightly jaundiced. She sat at the plaintiff's table, 6 months visibly pregnant, wearing a navy maternity dress that Victoria had helped her choose. Professional but sympathetic, Victoria had said. Devon sat across the aisle with his attorney, a nervous-looking man named Peterson who kept shuffling papers. Devon looked thinner than Zara remembered, his suit hanging slightly loose, dark circles under his eyes. Simone wasn't there. The judge, a stern-faced woman named Judge Constance Harper, reviewed the files with meticulous attention. This is a petition for parental rights filed by Mr. Devon Holloway regarding the unborn child of Ms. Zara Holloway. Mr. Peterson, you may begin. Devon's attorney stood, clearing his throat. Your Honor, my client acknowledges he made mistakes during the marriage dissolution. He allowed emotion to cloud his judgment regarding paternity. However, now that paternity has been established, he wishes to fulfill his responsibilities as a father. Judge Harper looked at Devon. Mr. Holloway, is that correct? Devon stood. Yes, Your Honor. I was wrong to doubt the paternity. I want to be part of my daughter's life. Why now? The judge asked bluntly. According to these documents, you contested paternity throughout the divorce proceedings. You refused multiple offers for testing. What changed? Devon hesitated. I had time to reflect on my choices, Your Honor. I realized I was running from my responsibilities. Or, Victoria Wu stood, her voice sharp. You realized Miss Holloway inherited a substantial fortune and decided being a father might be financially beneficial. Objection. Peterson started weakly. Overruled, Judge Harper said. Miss Wu, please present your evidence. Victoria methodically walked the judge through Devon's behavior, the contested paternity, the minimal settlement offer, the abandonment throughout Zara's pregnancy. Then she introduced evidence of Devon's private investigator, the inquiry into Zara's assets, the timeline of his custody petition, filed just days after news of her inheritance became public. Your Honor, Victoria concluded, Mr. Holloway showed no interest in this child until he believed there was money involved. This isn't about parental love. This is about financial access. Judge Harper turned to Devon. Mr. Holloway, your attorney mentioned responsibilities. What financial support have you provided during this pregnancy? Medical bills? Prenatal care? Housing? Devon shifted uncomfortably. The settlement included $15,000, which was characterized as a full and final settlement with no child support. Victoria interjected. Ms. Holloway has received zero financial support for prenatal care, which has cost approximately $47,000 to date. The judge made a note. Mr. Holloway, do you have stable employment? Another hesitation. I'm between positions currently, Your Honor. My consulting business experienced some setbacks. So you have no income, no employment, and you provided no financial support during the pregnancy, but you want custody of a newborn? Visitation, Your Honor, Peterson corrected. Every other weekend. Judge Harper removed her glasses. Here's what concerns me, Mr. Holloway. You abandoned your wife while she was pregnant. You contested paternity despite knowing full well the child was yours. You provided minimal support in the divorce settlement and specifically waived all parental obligations. Now, coincidentally, after Miss Holloway's financial circumstances changed dramatically, you want parental rights. That pattern troubles me deeply. She looked at Zara. Miss Holloway, what are your concerns about Mr. Holloway having visitation? Zara stood, her voice steady despite her nerves. Your Honor, I'm not trying to keep my daughter from her father. But Devon walked away from us when I needed him most. He called me a liar when I told him about the pregnancy. He humiliated me during the divorce. And now, when it's convenient for him, he wants back in. I'm terrified that he doesn't want a relationship with our daughter. I think he wants a relationship with my bank account. Judge Harper nodded slowly. Mr. Peterson, does your client have anything to add? Devon stood again. Your Honor, I made mistakes. I'm not denying that. But I'm still this baby's father. I have rights. You do, the judge agreed. But rights come with responsibilities which you've failed to demonstrate. Here's my ruling. I'm granting you supervised visitation, 2 hours per week, in a neutral location with a court-appointed supervisor. You'll pay child support calculated based on imputed income as you clearly have the ability to earn even if you're currently unemployed. If you demonstrate consistent, appropriate involvement over the next 6 months, we'll revisit expanding visitation. But Mr. Holloway, if you miss visits, if you fail to pay support, if you show any indication this is about finances rather than fatherhood, I'll terminate your parental rights entirely. Do you understand? Devon's face had gone pale. Yes, Your Honor. Good. This hearing is adjourned. Victoria touched Zara's arm as they stood. That's a victory. Supervised visitation is the best we could hope for given the circumstances. Zara nodded, but she didn't feel victorious. She felt tired. As they left the courtroom, Devon stepped into her path. Zara, wait. She stopped, Victoria immediately at her side. What? I just want to say, he looked lost. I'm sorry. For all of it. You didn't deserve what I did to you. No, Zara said quietly. I didn't. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I do want to know my daughter. Zara studied his face, looking for sincerity. Then prove it, Devon. Show up for those visits. Be consistent. Be present. Not because of money. Because she's your child. I will, he said. She walked past him without another word. 2 weeks later, on a cold December morning, Zara went into labor. Jasmine drove her to the hospital, talking the entire way to keep her calm. The labor lasted 14 hours, long and exhausting. But when they finally placed her daughter on her chest, Zara understood what people meant when they said love changes you. She named her Naomi Grace. Naomi for pleasant and Grace for the unexpected blessing that saved them both. Devon came to the hospital the next day. Zara allowed him into the room, Jasmine present as a buffer. He stood awkwardly by the door, staring at the tiny bundle in Zara's arms. She's beautiful, he whispered. Yes, she is, Zara agreed. Can I hold her? Zara hesitated, then nodded. She carefully transferred Naomi to his arms, watching his face transform as he looked down at his daughter. Hi, baby girl, he said softly. I'm your dad. For just a moment, Zara saw the man she'd married, the one who'd been kind and gentle before everything fell apart. Then the moment passed. You need to leave, she said quietly. Visiting hours are over. He nodded, reluctantly handing Naomi back. Can I come back tomorrow? Supervised visits start next week. The court will contact you with the schedule. He looked like he wanted to argue, but didn't. Okay. Thank you, Zara, for letting me see her. After he left, Jasmine squeezed her shoulder. You okay? Zara looked down at Naomi, her tiny fist wrapped around Zara's finger. Yeah, I really am. 6 months later, Zara stood in the conference room of the Whitmore Foundation headquarters, looking out at the board of directors she'd assembled. The foundation had just announced a $50 million initiative to provide housing and support for single mothers across Georgia. My mother worked herself to death trying to give me a better life, Zara told them. She succeeded, but she shouldn't have had to sacrifice herself to do it. No woman should. This foundation will make sure they don't have to. The board approved unanimously. That evening, Zara sat in the nursery, rocking Naomi to sleep. Her phone buzzed with a text from Victoria Wu. Devon missed his third supervised visit, requesting emergency hearing to discuss termination of parental rights. Your call on how to proceed. Zara looked at her daughter, peacefully sleeping. Devon had made his choice. He'd shown up for the first 2 visits, then nothing. No calls. No explanations. Just absence. She typed her response. Proceed with termination. Naomi deserves better than a part-time father. She sent it and turned off her phone. Outside the window, the Atlanta skyline glittered with 1,000 lights. Somewhere out there, Devon was living with the consequences of his choices. Somewhere out there, Simone was doing the same. But here, in this nursery, in this life she'd built from the ashes of her old one, Zara had everything she needed. She had her daughter. She had her father's legacy. She had a purpose. And she had peace. Zara kissed Naomi's forehead and whispered, "We're going to be just fine, baby girl." Better than fine. In the morning, she'd meet with architects about the first housing development. Next week, she'd cut the ribbon on a new community center. Next month, she'd launch a scholarship program in her mother's name. But tonight, she just held her daughter and let herself feel grateful. Not for the money, not for the revenge, but for the second chance she never saw coming. Viewers, do you think Devon got what he deserved? Or should Zara have given him another chance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more real, inspiring stories about justice, karma, and second chances.